Tanya. Thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How everybody doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good.
Good to
Good
see
morning.
you all. Good to see you all. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm trying to figure out which one of these things I got up here. Okay, that'll want to do. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to a special edition of Our Vulnerable Communities. Welcome to a special edition of Our Vulnerable Communities. We got an all-star panel this morning. Hopefully everybody will get on here. We There comes the Alderwoman. Pop them in as they come.
Hello, good morning.
Hello. We're about to get started. We are here today to mourn the vote that happened yesterday. And we have everybody here that voted against it. Should be on here. I don't know whether all the women, some of them are running behind, but we got two of them here. We got Dr. Deidre Grimm, we got Dr. Jamal Toure, and we got the former County Commissioner John McMasters. We have a few other people that's coming on that should be on after a while. So y'all just stand back and share. Tell everybody to tune in and watch because we're going to be talking about what happened yesterday. What happened yesterday was an atrocity. It was a disgrace. And we got to do better. And we got to have better people governing over us. So with all that said, we'll turn it over to, not turn it over, but we'll start with our panel. Alderwoman Gibson-Carter or either Alderwoman Bernetta Lanier, y'all can start.
Well, I'll yield to the district representative. Okay, I'm trying to get my media thing set up here. I want to make sure I'm connected properly to this All Things Relevant, the hottest media outlet in the city of Savannah. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It is such a privilege to be here this morning. I consider this a very esteemed panel because I see you all in the trenches with me. When I'm out there swinging and I look to my left and I look to my right, I see you guys. So I appreciate you all continuing to stand with community, for community. But on yesterday, probably the most impactful vote of this decade happened. And the most depressed area, one of the most depressed areas in Savannah, that area depressed and impoverished based on the decision that the council made. Of course, it was a 5-4 vote, and the majority won. And the majority said that the best and highest use of a historical piece of property, historic and economic and cultural asset greater than any other in Savannah for this community, this region, this city, this state, and this nation. We got it. Little old impoverished West Savannah. But the powers that be said yesterday that you all are not deserving of that asset. So therefore, you must be removed, and we must continue in the same direction of allowing the same people to benefit from all of the investments and resources. The citizens said, wait, we're here. Contrary to what you're saying, that it's no one over there, and you're saying that the land was cheap. And it was by design that you all were able to purchase that cheap land and place something such as a homeless shelter and transitional housing that is needed in Savannah on top of this asset that will keep it depressed at least for the 20 years that covers the contract. After that time, you all could do whatever you want. 20 years ago, I attended my first arena meetings, and now you see what's happening. For 20 years, sometimes it's not very long. So in 20 years, this shelter property will no longer be required to be sheltered, and it's right there on the Weeping Time property. So what do you think they're going to do with that land when the people are gone and the complexion of the community has changed? Well, yesterday, council voted to allow a special use permit and allow the residents of Greater West Savannah to continue in poverty. We are designing. We made a decision that all of the decisions we make have consequences, and we made a decision to keep this community impoverished. And we're looking at the same opportunities in other areas of the city, and we are fully on board in allowing these live, work, play, small economic engines to keep these neighborhoods. That's their economic engine for these neighborhoods. Like on Habersham Street and Habersham Village, that drives that neighborhood. I even spend money over there. So we are deciding that we do not want to enrich West Savannah. And the vote yesterday said that. And I thought we sent a new council that was going to represent the underserved, represent the low wealth people, represent the poor, move the trajectory, move the poverty needle. But yesterday, we decided that we would not, based on ignorance and pettiness and some stuff I don't even know. So that's all I can tell you for right now, and I'll chime in more later. So thank you.
Okay, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter.
Yes, good morning. And good morning to all of you. Thank you for an opportunity for this recap. There have been a lot of questions, and there hasn't been an opportunity for individuals to hear essentially what happened last night. It's interesting that the media outlets have not touched or covered this to the extent of its worth and its weight. Last night, we had an opportunity to desecrate history or to preserve history. And I have to give credit to Mr. McMasters for planting that seed in acknowledgement of such when I was talking to him about this piece. For me, when Alderwoman Lanier initially presented to me this plan, we were invited to a meeting with Mr. McCorkle, who is the attorney for the Salvation Army, now attorney for the Housing Authority. This story just continues to get twisted and twisted and more twisted. So at that juncture, you can imagine having 10 years experience managing a shelter. In addition, having experience having to raise money. We were able to raise about $1.2 million in just under 18 months to build a new shelter. Running into the similar situation, I sort of was a little perplexed. But as I started to listen to the older woman, who is so intelligent when it comes to this whole notion and idea of building wealth in low wealth communities, creating economic drivers, becoming citizen-driven communities. This was jargon and buzzwords I had never heard used within the context of which she was describing. And so it didn't take long for me to listen with my intelligent ear to get it, that it wasn't about the NIMBY syndrome, Kesha. I mean, surely this older woman wouldn't be as insensitive to present to me, we don't want a shelter in our neighborhood, knowing that I ran a shelter for 10 years and advocacy for homeless families with children is near and dear to my heart. And so as we continue to have talks about it, I understood that her concern was preserving the highest and best use of the property for the neighborhood, which is in need of affordable housing and economic drivers. In addition, along came this whole idea of the opportunity to preserve sacred ground. I knew about the weeping time, didn't know that this was the same property until she presented that to me. And of course, it became more perplexing. It made it a little more complicated. And so how do you strike a delicate balance with upholding the Salvation Army's mission, which is to do the most good, with preserving what the West Side citizens want and desire? And so my interest and my intent as alderman at large is to always be on the people's side. I will never be on the side of the alder person for the district. I'm going to be on the people's side within the district.
Right.
And so as much as I am fond of Alderwoman Lanier, Alderwoman Shabazz, and I can respect the others within their districts, if they are supporting something in a district and the residents don't support it, to borrow the slogan of Alderwoman Lanier, it's the people's time. You know, because politicians can sell in and out of integrity. And as they're selling in and out of integrity, someone has to be the steady voice at the table to say, we have to focus on what the residents want. And so when the West Side residents started to rise up and express their concern and regard for changing the use of this property, my intent was to focus more on what it was that they wanted and less than this being about not wanting a homeless shelter in the neighborhood. Now, are there dynamics associated with having the shelter in the neighborhood that's justifiable for them not to desire such? Yes, there are, and it's valid. But when we start to mix and construe things, like a lot of things that was said last night was consistent with the community is divided. The community is no more divided now than it was before. Savannah does not have a good track record of bringing the communities together. And we've showed that time and time again in our policies, in the lack thereof. And so the whole notion that this has divided the council, our council cannot be more divided than it started after the inaugural, you know? And so you can come back to me for some more talk here. But for me, what I want the citizens of Savannah to know is that you all did not send us to Sunday school. You did not send us to have prayer service. You essentially, unknowingly, you sent us into battle. And last night was evident of the fight that we're up against. And a lot of people were exposed for who they truly are. And as tough as that vote was last night, it was necessary for some people now to see where the heart and mind of the individuals they sent to city council, because it was a disservice and an injustice for residents of the West Side. Myself, Alderwoman Blakely, and Mayor Johnson are in the seats that we're in today only but for the West Side.
That's right.
We could not have won our races without the West Side. So how dare us not listen to the voice of the people from the West Side?
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. Okay, who's next? Dr. Jamal Toure, did you want to chime in before we get into the heated discussion?
Yes, absolutely. We want to chime in now, and I have to share this with you all. With regards to the property, I'm not even concerned about the history of the property. I'm not even concerned about the history of the property. The thing that strikes me more than anything is about poverty dumping, that we're dumping poverty, more poverty into West Savannah. And I tell folks this, being a Savannian, growing up here in Savannah, I have seen poverty all my life. And I have seen how our city government, our county government, and our state government ignored our community. They ignored West Savannah. They ignored Woodsville. They ignored Hudson Hill. They ignored Kyla Brownsville. They ignored Currytown. They ignored Tatumville. They ignored Brickyard. They ignored us. They ignored all of us. And I have seen, and I have to go up there in the school board also, how they have ignored us. And the issues that we have today is based on generations of people having been ignored. And so again, I let others address the history part, but I'm like saying, wait a minute, you think that we're not worthy of having economic engines in that community? You think we're not worthy of having grocery stores in that area? You think we're not worthy of that? When the very foundation of Savannah, for everyone who is in Savannah right now, or who come to Savannah to enjoy Savannah right now, it's based on my people right here. See, that's why I'm like, I'm
Speak,
not focused on
doctor.
it. I'm not
That's
talking
right.
about the wicked time problem. I'm talking about the fact that my ancestors had blood equity and sweat equity in this right here that others can enjoy. And people ignore that. I have a problem with that. That's what I got. And then you're going to concentrate poverty in one area. But guess what? I got to do what Dr. Pat Harris said. Why can't all of us share the love with regards to the poverty and affordable housing in the city? But you don't see that happening in Ardsley Park. You don't see that happening in those communities in the 4th district. You don't see that happening over there. But again, you dump it into our areas, and then guess what? Some of us are willing to accept that all because we see Black faces. Guess what? It doesn't matter about Black faces. It's about integrity and character of people. Don't come to me about Dr. King. I'm talking about the character and the content and all that madness when you don't even listen to people when they give you the sanity of the people. Because guess what? The people are in charge. The people should be ruling, not the politicians. But the politicians tend to ignore us. And then guess what? And their political groupies go along with them. And that's why I shared last night, while I posted, history is going to show. History is going to show what happens in West Savannah if the stuff continues on being detrimental. And guess what? And when you see what happened to your children, I'm going to be right there and say your mamas and your daddies caused this to happen. And you might not like it, but I'm going to give you the ugly truth about this right now. So, yeah, and I speak not with no purpose, I speak with purpose right now. Because some of us have lost our purpose. And I'm saying friends and groupies of politicians, you need to stop that. Because I'm from here and I've seen the pain and I understand the pain of my people because I live with it myself every day.
Okay. John McMasters.
Thank you for including me in this important discussion. You can kind of compartmentalize my thinking in both a political framework, in a historical framework, and in a future prognostication framework. But let's start with the politics of it. We don't live in a direct democracy. Our government is a representational democracy, and that basically means none of us, well, excepting the elected officials, everyday citizens don't have a vote in what happens with a intersection plan or a park plan or a SPLOST allocation. This system we have is we elect people to go and represent us. And that's why it's called a representational form of government. And the 2019 city elections were wildly unique in the breadth and the scope of those elections in terms of taking out almost an entire council, primarily because they were favoring interests, the Emerald Zone, the tourism industry, and they weren't coy about it. They were kind of braggadocious about it, and people rejected them, and people chose to have new voices with new thinking and new approaches to policy. And we went into it believing that we had a huge majority, even a super majority. But unfortunately, several of the newly elected Revolutionary Council became co-opted very quickly. And it started right after the inauguration. And it was clear that we now have advocates for business as usual who presented themselves as change agents. And, a good friend of mine always says there's two basically types of orientations to government, and that's those that want to get into it to preserve the system, and there are those that want to go in and improve or change the system. So what we wound up with was a huge disappointment. We got so close, but the rug was pulled out from under us. I think most people understood that the mayor was a status quo guy, but the others were firmly committed to being change agents and they've fallen short. So I don't want to take too much of your time. Maybe we'll have a chance to talk about the historic box, if you will, or framework. But politically, we have been wildly disappointed. I'm delighted that Julius's organization, ATR Network, my small political action committee, Better Savannah, we are of the same mind. We are desirous of the same change in how our government works. We reject business as usual, yet there's 5 people on council guaranteeing that business as usual continues. And we may have to wait till the next election, but that's my view on the representational political side of it.
Okay, Dr. Grimm.
So again, thank you for having us this morning, Julius. And it was just a travesty and disheartening situation as we walked out of City Council yesterday with my 3-year-old daughter, and I had tears in my eyes. And she asked, well, Mommy, why are you upset? And just to look at it from an urban planning issue, because this is just exactly what it is. If it hadn't, then the MPC would not they wouldn't have had to petition City Council for a special use permit. And for those who don't know what special urban planning is, it's an academic discipline that focuses on the physical landscape, but encompasses economic functions as well as social impacts. And for those on council to argue that this has been polarized and politicized, that's what urban planning is. It's the political will meeting with civic participation, doing the desires of the people. So for those who just said that this was just something very divisive, well, that happens when the people get involved and tell those who they sent to office what it is that they desire. So I feel like, as someone who has a doctorate in urban planning, public policy, and design, that if I'm advocating that this is not in the best and highest use of the community, as opposed to, and I don't like to speak on anyone else's credentials, but if I am from the mindset and from the theoretical and academic background and seeing that this is not what should be here, that we are not against homeless people because we do think of the social impacts that this would have on the whole community, I think you would take and dial it back some and look and listen to what the people desire. But we're not here. We're here advocating for the people. At the end of the day, those who voted for the special use permit are advocating for some of the self-interest. I don't know what that is. I would like to get to the bottom of it, but we need to create more sustainable and succinct developments in the community, and this is not one of them. So thank you for having me.
Julius,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to make a point here. One of the things that was demonstrated last night was a lot of contention, right? A lot of confusion and aggravation and frustration. And we here on this platform, I think we have been operating in civility in as much as we can. And primarily, it's that way because we're all on the same team. This is a very important point I want to make to all of those individuals who say, why can't they get along? This is your answer. The reason we can't get along and the reason we don't get along is because it looks like John said something. He said, we have a supermajority. We have a supermajority. Not only do we have a supermajority, we have a majority. You see, if we're going to dial it back to politics, for the most part, we are all Democrats. The supermajority comes in, John, and it's interesting you say we, because the supermajority are the African Americans. And so 2 points I want to make. One is, this is not about race.
Nope.
This is about economics, elitism, and classism. The second point I want to make, there is no commonality in our purpose. You see, people don't get along when they're not on the same team. And the confusion for the public is we have the appearance that we're all on the same team. We have the appearance that we're all on the same team because we're all Democrats. We have the appearance that we're all on the same team because we have a supermajority of African Americans. But the fact of the matter is, we do not have the same policy mindset.
Exactly.
So that's why we're not getting along, people. And so we do not want to allow race to become a dominant issue as we continue in this season of politics, because Savannah has a problem. Savannah has a huge problem in that we have been sold a dream by Black politicians who get into office and say that they are for vulnerable communities. They say that they are for the underserved. They say that they are for rising and building up those who are left out, last, and low. When in fact, in true fashion, they come in and they sell us out. And what are they selling us out for, John McMasters? They're selling us out for a max campaign contribution of $2,800. They're selling us out for dinners to the Chatham Club. They're selling us out for a ride on a private jet. They're selling us out for an account at Kreitz or for a BMW or Mercedes. They're selling us out to a construction deal. And so when you see people who are upstanding in politics doing what is happening across the nation, this is not, Savannah's not unique, and we're not special to this. We're just new to this. And because we are new to this, people don't understand and they don't get what this looks like. But across the nation, the political landscape is changing. The expectation of how politicians behave themselves is changing. No longer can you inherit office and just walk in. I told Brother Jamal this morning, people are looking for not only face recognition and name recognition in politics, they're also looking for talent recognition. They're looking for what have you invested in our community? There is no reason why a person like me should be in this office. There's no reason why. I was never a political novice. I abhor politics. Someone said to me today that I can't win another election. Well, they also said that I couldn't win this election. The reason why I won this election is because of the change that is sweeping the nation. And that is a change for people who are willing and able to stand in the face of the big payouts. Integrity is doing what is right when no one is watching. And so I have decided that we are going to serve, and I say we because it's only by the power of the citizens of Savannah have to be with me. We are going to serve in this season, not as a career motivated politician, but we are going to serve in this season dedicated to the people of Savannah, dedicated to the people of Savannah for what they need and for what they want. So we don't give a hill of beans about re-election. We're going to serve the rest of this term as if it were my last year and my last term. And we're going to do that to the detriment of decorum. We're going to do it to the detriment of our reputation. And we're going to do it to the detriment of any career in politics.
Okay, well, we got Alderwoman Alicia Blakely trying to get on, so that's what I was talking to. She having some technical difficulties with her computer and her cell phone getting on Chrome. So she'll be on in a minute as soon as she get it. What's up, John?
Can I say something quickly? Kesha, this is how I see it. There are 5 people on this council that want to preserve the status quo. That's what their voting record tells us. There are 4 people who want to change the status quo. And I'm not making it about race. I'm making it about policy. And the record stands. There are 5 people that want to inherit the status quo and preserve it. That's not what many of them campaigned on, but that's how they're performing. This is clear. And to your point, and I'll conclude on this, there is an awakening, I believe, happening across the country to change the status quo for the better. And you're part of that side of the equation. So I predict you'll easily be reelected, and you'll be joined by other like-minded people who don't want to inherit the status quo, but want to improve the status quo, and we will have ultimately a better community.
But for the record, it doesn't matter.
Let me type in. Let me charm it a little bit.
Go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me? Okay, so
yes, go ahead.
This is interesting because we are so adult now. Let's do this. Let's do something haven't been done a lot. Let's take race out of this, and let's look at it in terms of economics and politics, because typically when people get political power, their constituents could translate that into economic power. And that hasn't happened with the councils that we have seen, not in appearance. So Kesha said something about reputation, and I need to go to that. We have to stop tiptoeing around these things. On a lot of councils, we have a 9-member council. So when there is a council that's 9 and there's a split vote, maybe 4 and 4, in a lot of councils, the mayor would break the tie. But in our form of government, you could clearly see with our 5-4 that the mayor doesn't wait to see how the issue goes throughout the districts and then vote. He leads the other 4 votes. So they definitely follow the mayor. And in terms of West Savannah and economics, the reason we have the arena project being built right where it is because it was promised as an economic, a public economic investment, because we've been underinvested in. This corridor is 20-some neighborhoods from Hudson Hill to Tatumville. And this corridor that built Savannah, that was the backbone of Savannah, that was slave plantations, turned farms, municipal farms at that, owned by the city, where the people were sharecroppers and bought land and settled those lands and continued to build up downtown. Now downtown, being landlocked, has to grow west, because that's where the land is, and that's where the poverty is, and that's where the marginalized people are. That's where they see as the weakness is. So it's growing. There's an actual plan called downtown expansion. And being that my background is in working in local government and engineering and public works, I got a chance as a young professional, a young government worker, to see these plans that was being proposed for the area that I grew up in, that I knew my people had no information that this growth, downtown expansion, was coming west. So in 2005, I founded, as a neighborhood president, 2nd generation neighborhood president, I founded a community development corporation. And that is, just like it says, a nonprofit corporation. And the mission of that corporation is to build wealth in low wealth communities by using asset-based economic development. And I would like to encourage all of these intellectuals that follow ATR and is listening to this program to please Google, study, research a CDC, a community development corporation, community development corporation. So we're doing the business of community building like corporate business. And it's a nonprofit organization. And the reason, because we had to align neighborhoods and residents on the west side to fight or stand up to or have a voice, a collective voice, when that growth was targeted for this area, where gentrified was targeted for this area. So our CDC has been fledgling, self-supported by mostly my husband and myself for 15 years, a fledgling little organization trying to teach wealth, teach community building, teach the business, and teach the discipline of community building and how people could prosper in place, and how low wealth could turn into high wealth, which is a relative thing. And we had alderman for 16 years. And when we went to him as neighborhood presidents and we asked for community benefits, we asked for the grant center, we asked for Bowles Ford to be completed, we asked for the drainage work, we asked for a grocery store, we asked for, and we did not get any help or any love from that alderman for 16 years. And in the beginning, we supported him because he had the appearance to be that young maverick that was going to.
It's shots fired season, remember?
It didn't happen.
Dan Johnson. It's shots fired season, Bernetta.
I had to take a hit. Let me say this. I had to take a hit from the people that I grew up with, who trained me, who loved me. I had to go against this popular guy and say, look, guys, he's not doing the job that we need to help us build wealth. We don't need to just prop up poverty, just stepping up poverty. We need to build wealth, and that would take, let's attract some wealth. We know how to do it. We have educated people over here. We have soil of the earth. We'll work anybody under the ground. Let's do the work. And we've been doing that work. And they need to kill Ivory Bay, because when Ivory Bay fully realizes its agenda as far as mission and goals and vision, by being the coordinating partner of all of the partners in the community, it will be a danger to people who just want to continue business as usual. So I'll maybe Dr. Grimm could chime in on this, but before, let me say that last night I only had, it was about to go down. We were about to lose that vote with no recourse. So I had to go to the archaeological study. I had to go to let's not do this before we verify. Is it or is it ain't? So let's find out if this is the land like we say it is, the historic sacred ground, because you all are obviously saying it's not. And so, and that was the only way. So we have a caveat in the deal. So we have a ram in the bush, because now we are going to bring in the best in the country in this field, who happened to be from Charleston and is a sister, and she's nationally renowned. And we're going to reach out and have reached out to communicate, who knows the property, who knows the Butler Plantation, have done all this work up and down the Eastern Coast. So we're going to bring in the best, and let's determine if it is the sacred ground. And if it is, and that's the only thing we had last night in this game, and we was continue to pursue this thing. So Dr. Grimm, Julius, I'm done.
You're muted.
Yeah, no problem, Alderwoman Lanier. I know y'all get a little excited. Y'all know I'm never quiet, but I'm letting y'all do all the talking today. Dr. Grimm had something to say. We want to welcome Sabrina Newby and Alderwoman Alicia Miller Blakely, but you wanted to go to Dr. Grimm and then Dr. Jamal Toure, then we'll go down to the other two.
So as Alderwoman Lanier stated, actualizing Ivory Bay's mission, putting that into true fruition, is not at the betterment, it's for the betterment of the community, but it's not as an assistance or a tool to help the status quo. No one wants to talk about generational wealth. Everyone wants to talk about poverty reduction. There are two totally different situations. We want to create something that will sustain our generations. The United Nations wrote, matter of fact, about what urban planning is, and it says development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So what does the Salvation Army have to offer with the future generation meeting their own needs? This is just, and as we have said this multiple times, we are not against homeless people, but this is not about creating wealth for these next generations. We can't allow our heritage to be confiscated, because last night they tried to steal it from us, because that's just what it was. They tried to devalue that, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking loud, but they try to devalue that our ancestors could be buried on this particular sacred ground. At the end of the day, it's our lineage, it's our heritage. And Alderwomen Lanier brought up community building. They don't want us to build community. They do not want us to strategically get together and collectively bargain for ourselves. Who? Black people? Seriously, no. They don't want that. They want it to be the silo situation or working against each other. And it's time out for that. You know, it's time for us to come as a community, as we have been doing, and we have representation from all 5 neighborhoods in the West Savannah area that want this to be done on their behalf. So for those who do not like it, you know, you just need to get on over it. I'm just going to be real honest with you, because I am passionate, I am driven, and I will see everything through. As I tell anybody, my 3-year-old is my dissertation baby. I found out I was pregnant with her in the middle of defending my dissertation. So if that didn't stop me, this sure ain't. So come on with it. Sorry.
Dr. Toure.
I want to share this, and I will not be quiet about this and shy about this. There's no one in Savannah, Georgia, no one in Chatham County, dare say there's no one in coastal Georgia that has gone the entire area from North Carolina down to Florida to do activism and to look out for our people. And one of the interesting things that me being involved in this for 30 years is that in South Carolina, there's been something that has been successful over there, something called a CDC. And in my travels, when I've been going around, I was seeing them do great things over there. And I kept saying, why don't we have this in Savannah? Why is Savannah being the center for Southern South Carolina and coastal Georgia? I said, why aren't intelligent Black people and lower income Caucasians doing this in Savannah? Why aren't Latinos doing this in Savannah? Didn't happen. Then I found out about Ivory Bay, and I was like, wow, finally, someone in Savannah is picking up on this. And see, I want people out there who's listening to this and looking at this right now to understand that the purpose of Ivory Bay is what other people have done also, as, again, a way for people to become empowered. And as Dr. Grimm said, for generational wealth. See, some of us think that we're so intelligent, but then we're really not intelligent. It's just that we get along. We just go along to get along. And that when somebody becomes dynamic and do some of the things that other people are doing to empower their areas, we get mad in Savannah. And I have told folks this in South Carolina and in Florida. I said that how we function in Georgia, we are fractionalized. I told them this in the early 2000s, in 2000, in fact. Queen Quet and others going to say, Jamal said that. I said in Savannah, what we do, we like fiefdoms. So that's why when I tell people, when I talk about some matters, guess what? As Alderwomen Kesha Gibson-Carter said, it is not about, I'm going to maintain my integrity. And when I see something that's good, I'm going to put it out there. That's great. If I see something that's negative, I'm going to say it's negative. I don't take it personal. But Ivory Bay represents one of the best examples of a CDC functioning in Savannah, Georgia. And here it is, people trying to besmirch it, try to put it down. I'm saying that is absolutely shameful. And I want the people who are listening to this and looking at this right now, we need y'all to share this information right now. It is not enough for Alderwoman Carter, Alderwoman Lanier, Alderwoman Miller Blakely, Alderwoman Shabazz to be out there speaking and standing up, and we still keep it internal. It now must be external. I told folks, we got to expose what is happening here. And guess what? Those on the other side, if you don't like it, then do the right thing. Stop that. Be morally correct. That's why I'm not saying all of us slip and fall, but we need you to get back up on the horse and do what is right for the community. And you're not doing what's right for the community.
Okay, Alderwoman Alicia Blakely, you finally come on with your technical issues. What do you have?
Technical issues. I'm in the middle of sharing this, so let somebody else speak right now, and I'll come back after I finish sharing this, okay?
Sabrina Newby, you were down in the Low Country.
Good morning, everyone. I first, let me apologize. I'm having technical issues too. I can't get my picture to show, but I hope I can get my message across nevertheless. Listen, when it comes down to history and culture, well, let's start with history. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, it is our history. It is our history, no matter what color we are, no matter what political party we represent, no matter what title we hold. It is our history. So to not be able to accept what has already been put in place as ours, that means that you're willing to not accept a great percentage of what people, your people, especially if you are someone who represent an elected title, your people holds near and dear. You cannot get away with the fact that the property of Ivory Bay, or the property that Ivory Bay is really focused on, where the weeping time is held, it is a great piece of our legacy, all of our legacies, because a lot of people don't want to own what their legacy is, their historical, their cultural legacy is. And this is a great teaching point. They can people mark away so many different artifacts as a part of history. However, when it comes down to people of color, that topic is always compromised in some way, shape, or form. The only way we can offset that is by we, the people, just talking. We talk, we explain, we educate, we make them understand that though I may be a Black woman that's advocating for this, and you may be a white man that's advocating for it as well, we're the same. And we have to be able to communicate that message to those who oppose it in unison. This is the only way I see that we can move past it. Right now, everybody's going after artifacts. As you know, the hot topic is, you take my statue, I'm going to take your land. That's been something that's been practiced for such a long time. We have to do better. And we have to get out of this idea of that, we have to cater to the powers that be and just basically trample on the people who want to teach what is so important, and that is ultimately the biggest threat of our nation, which is our culture and our history.
Alderwoman Blakely, are you ready yet?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Yesterday was very disheartening, and it was just sad. It was really, really sad. I look at other races and ethnicities, and I see where they embrace their heritage, their history. And for some strange reason, when it comes to African Americans and the history that we have here in Savannah, it's like, no, we don't want to say anything about that. We want to have the hush mouth. We want to be quiet about that. And it just breaks my heart. I've had the opportunity to visit Dachau in Germany, and Jewish people in this city, in this country, in this world, would wreak havoc if you said anything against the Holocaust. Okay? Any other, the Japanese, it's just sad, y'all, that we cannot embrace who we are. We had a conversation with a individual this morning, and this is a Black man that ran for office, and I'm so thankful that he did not win. He said, put it there. Put it there. I'm like, are you serious? Do you not realize the history?
Alicia, remember, it's shots fired season. Name names.
Yes.
We're naming names. Who was
Tony
it?
Riley. Tony Riley. He said, put it there. I said, oh my gosh. And how is that going to build generational wealth? How's that going to build wealth for that community? I said, did you see the conceptual plan? No, I did not. Those people's houses are falling down and all that. I said, but did you see the plan? Did you see what Ivory Bay is trying to do in that community? And that let me know a lot of people who are saying that, put it there, they don't even understand that that's not going to benefit that community. They want that community to stay downtrodden and heavy laden. I cannot understand it. And the more that we fight about it, the more, I'm going to say fight, the more that we fight, the more that we try to educate, the more that we try to make people aware, they're still saying we shouldn't be doing this and we shouldn't be saying that on city council. You got to get past that, people. You got to get past the way we're supposed to look, because we're sitting at the table and we see what's happening at that table. We see how the West Savannah has been neglected by our current mayor when he was an alderman for 16 years. He didn't do nothing for that community. And it was by design, because there's a master plan. There's a master plan to move those people out so that you know who can move in. Okay? Wake up. That's all I'm going to tell you. Wake up. When we come at you and let you know what's going on, pay attention. We're not fighting just to be fighting. When y'all send us to City Hall, y'all send us to City Hall to do what? Represent for the people. And that's what we're doing. We're no longer playing the game.
We're changing the game.
I'm not going to be politically correct.
We're changing
Political correctness, as far as I'm concerned, is out the door, because I see my people suffering. We're in this city as strong as our weakest link. And right now, the weakest link is African Americans in Savannah, Georgia. Wake up.
Okay.
Dr. Graham,
Yes.
can I just have a minute to just plug something that Ms. Newby and Alderwoman Blakely stated? I had the opportunity to attend the Mass, the St. Patrick's Day Mass, and I listened to Bishop Boland's homily. And when Ms. Newby talked about culture and heritage, and Alderwoman Blakely spoke about embracing the culture and how uncomfortable African-American people seem to be about that. Some of us, not all of us. Bishop Boland said in his homily that all of us, as he welcomed people who are not Irish Catholic, he stated that we all should embrace our heritage, but find the good in it and share it. Go ahead, Dr. Graham. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to, help people understand what generational wealth is, because, Caucasians have it at a higher rate than us. And so just for those who do not understand what generational wealth is, it's the kind of wealth or assets that families pass down to their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc., whether it be money, stocks, bonds, investments, property, and entire companies. So at that rate, what Ivory Bay seeks to do is ensure that our next generations are sustainable, that they're able to thrive, and that they're able to build. I was blessed to come into a family that was of that mindset. My family started the first Black cab company, also the first Black funeral home in an area of South Carolina. So in knowing that, and even having to experience situations of poverty myself, I know that we need to make sure that we're ensuring that the next generation of Savannahans are able to ascertain that wealth. I want everyone to know that generational wealth is something that can be actualized. It's not just a concept. If there are measures and policies that are put in place, and one of them would be to look at what the conceptual plan that Mr. Ferguson rendered and sent to the MPC and to the Housing Authority, not Ivory Bay, and use that as a model, because we believe that something of that nature and magnitude can bring wealth to the community. And we support that effort while it was not our effort. But we also want the residents at the table to advocate what it is that they desire to see there. This is just a concept. This is not anything set in stone. So when the media construes it as Ivory Bay's plan, as the city manager construes it as Ivory Bay's plan, that is a blatant lie. And you heard that from the CEO of Ivory Bay Community Development Corporation.
Okay, Dr. Toure.
I want to throw something out there, which we discussed, some have discussed. I'm going to put it out there right now. And that's why I'm saying to people, those of you listening, share what is going on right now. Share the information. We now need to support alternative information places or businesses, entities that give us alternative information or other information. We need to support them. If it's the platforms done by ATR, support them. Better Savannah, support them. We now need to boycott the Savannah Morning News and other news outlets. But then also, we need to boycott their advertisers, their supporters. We need to initiate that right now. We need to start a campaign, as was discussed this morning. I'm not going to call out the names of people when we're having this conversation, because I won't put nobody on the spot. But we have said this, and it needs to happen. We now need to
Jamal,
we need to boycott the Savannah Morning News, boycott their advertisers right now. And the media outlets that were doing the wrong things by spreading the lies like WTOC, we need to boycott WTOC, and we need to put it out there full blast. Don't shy away from that. Because again, economic power, we got to show that we have economic power to bring them down. And again, use the alternative outlets that are out there right now. If you go Better Savannah, ATR, all the shows being done by ATR, by us, for us, Candidly Kesha, go to vulnerable communities, go to all of them and not get information. And then if you got to go to the New York Times and CNN, because some people, Savannah, don't even check out anything here. They go to CNN and also go to New York Times. So I just want to throw that out there and say we now need to be about that.
And don't forget, by us, for us.
Oh, I had said by us, for us. I thought that the ATR, I had said that, Reverend Leonard Small. I wasn't going to run down the whole show like America.
Know.
You know, Bernard Brown get mad if I don't mention Bernard Brown, but I wasn't trying to get all that. And Julius,
you got to get all in there. Let them all know.
We got a bunch of shows. Brother Toure, you touched on something that I was going to touch on. I was just waiting for everybody to get everything out. And this is why we started this media company. We started it because we saw that there was a void. We saw that the news was not getting to us the way that it should have been getting to us. We saw that when they did give us the news, it was already edited in a way for them to form our narrative. So we started this so that we could give the news the way that we thought that it should be given to our communities. You know, if y'all look, before the vote yesterday, these people in the media were, the mainstream media, they were advocating for the shelter to go there because they're all in a club together. They want that property over there to go to SCAD over there. So when they leave from over there, we have it in Bato, and SCAD gets that property over there on Montgomery. It's a clique that they all have, and we all know this. Nobody's stupid. And I don't know why Van think everybody's damn stupid. Ain't nobody stupid, Van, but you think we are. You know, but you know, I know that there's a boycott that we should be doing in some kind of form with the local media, whether we boycott them for a day, whether we boycott them for a month, whether we boycott them for damn ever. But there needs to be something done. That's just the plain and simple how it is. You got, and the last thing I want to touch on, y'all can talk about this when I'm finished, because like I said, I this is y'all. I want y'all to get it out to the people. But I want to say one other thing, and I want to call some people out, because there have not been the advocacy that should have been done on a couple of people's part. And those people are the county commission chair who lives over there. Chester, you have been too silent on this. You cannot be silent when it comes to an issue like this. Show the people where you stand, even if you lose. It's not about you. It's about this community. Kenneth Adams, you were elected to be the voice of this community for that district. You are absent. You are silent. You are absent without leave. Carl Gilliard, that is your district also. And Lester Jackson, that is your district also. So we got to have representation where if we're going to vote for you, then you need to be there to represent these people. You can no longer be silent in this era. We're not going to let you, because we're going to hold every damn body accountable. Everybody.
I'm on the cross.
I'm
sacrificial.
I think Sabrina had a comment.
By ourselves.
Sabrina had a comment.
Not only them, black men. Where are the black men at?
Right.
It's time for black men to stand up and stop standing in the background.
And the Black Church. And the Black Church.
Yeah.
Pat,
The black
let's hear
man
from
and the
you.
black
I would
church.
like to hear Pat's perspective. Pat has followed the Weeping Time project, the Weeping Time events. He's covered it in documentaries that are so powerful. And he was in Chambers last night. And Pat and his wife were almost more vocal and passionate than the West Side residents. And it was good to see, not that we need the validation, but it was good to see that, again, this is not a black and white issue. This is about a human dignity preservation issue.
Exactly.
If we don't take pride in this, Pat.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking me on the show today, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter. It was quite a show last night. It was a 5-hour City Hall meeting. That's honestly, I think that's the first one I've attended in person for the whole thing. So I hope they're not all like that. Yeah, I guess my wife and I were a little bit vocal a couple times. I just shouted out, and clapped a little bit. I'm not much of a big orator myself, but sometimes when I just feel the urge, and somebody's saying something so passionate, you have to speak out. So, yeah, I give my wife a lot of credit for helping me do this filming we've been doing over the last maybe 6 weeks now, and it was funny. It was Pam Oglesby who gave me a whole tour of West Savannah a couple of years ago as part of the Neighborhood Leadership Academy. And that's how I really kind of got my eyes opened to what's going on in West Savannah. And I've just been thinking about it since then, looking for a way to take my skills that I have and use them whatever way I can. So I've been doing video production, documentary films, news. I've basically been doing mostly video editing for 20 years. And I worked on Meet the Press 15 years ago. And then I moved out to LA. I came here for SCAD, moved out to LA. My wife and I moved back here just because we really missed Savannah. And in the last 3 years, we've really started digging into documentary films, like our own personal documentary films. So I have a really great video we created from Pastor Small's speech last night. If you guys would like to watch it, it's 8.5 minutes, and you're all in it. So we could close out the show with it, or I could talk to you some more before we show the video if you want.
Let me ask you a question, Pat.
Yeah.
Since you've been on this journey,
yeah,
what do you think about the Weeping Time? What do you think about the Weeping Time property? I mean, what do you think about the history?
Yeah, well, I went to my first Weeping Time commemoration in 2018, so I guess that was 3 years ago. And I think I just found out about it through like a Facebook link or something. It's not like my friends were talking about it or anything. And I just showed up by myself. And I'm pretty sure I felt like the only white guy there. I don't know if I was. But I think then the next year I went and I saw Christopher Monroe there. And he helped me with my kind of education of the Weeping Time with that article he wrote in the Atlantic. But at first I was very shocked by it. And, in 2018, that's when they had all the kids from Otis Brock Elementary with the umbrellas. And it felt unusual for me to see such a sad memorial with children there. But over time, it's been such a different just transformation emotionally for me around this issue. I don't feel sad about it at all. I feel actually that the more we talk about it, the more it is a source of triumph and victory.
Well said.
And so by way of an update, we want to let everyone know how the vote went last night. For those who are just joining us, we fought. Kudos to Alderwomen Lanier, for taking us from a place of not knowing what was going to happen next to rallies, walks, marches, meetings. Pastor Larry Gordon, oh my God, the first pastor of the West Side to stand up. And you can, I'm not going to go down naming names. I'll leave that for you, Alderwoman Lanier, in terms of who has supported this effort from the beginning to the end. But last night, ultimately, many of our proposals in terms of how we wanted this to go and what direction failed. Ultimately, I called for to amend the vote that was on the table to pass this. And I wanted to amend it somehow to just to kind of stall it, if you will, to give us more time. That didn't work. And so ultimately, initially, the clerk had recorded a 6-3 vote, in that 6 individuals were not in favor of rejecting the Salvation Army's proposal. Dr. Shabazz didn't understand the vote. And so once it was reread to her, she then voted in support with the 4 that's often in the minority to resist Salvation Army's petition. And so history repeated itself again. Any major, they'll say that we often vote together, but we don't on major issues that matter. And so that went down on a 5-4 vote, but it was basically contingent on if it is decided that the property was the former site of the Weeping Time. Now, that makes no sense. That is consistent with the trickery. And that came post the whole archaeological study. And in my mind, if we go through a process of acknowledging that we're going to invest money for this study, the common decency of that becomes lost. So that's where we are now. So I guess we will have to find somebody's going to come up with a map, or somebody's going to come up with something fictitious, or because that's the kind of games we play at City Hall. We force things to fit, and we produce magic when it benefits anybody other than the people. And so now, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alderwoman Lanier, the vote is contingent. There was a 5-4 vote. Mayor Johnson, Nick Colombo, Dietrich Leggett, Curtis Purdy, and Linda Wilder Bryan, those alderpersons and the mayor voted to grant the Salvation Army the petition they need to build a shelter, contingent upon the property not being time. Now, in my mind, again, this goes back to what I said earlier. What does the people of the West Side want? The people of the West Side would like for that property to remain the same despite anything. It doesn't matter. It's what they want. And so if the people of the West Side sent the mayor, the district alder, and the 2 at-large alder persons to City Hall, why would we ignore them to the extent that over 25 people, almost 50 with the individuals they turned away and the people that were outside, came down to City Hall? They voted for representation. And we have to deny them dinner time. We have to deny them time with their families. We have to put them in challenging situations fighting for parking after they voted us in to represent them. And then they come to City Hall and the mayor has the audacity to say that they can't speak.
That's right.
It's sad enough that he has silenced our voices. Myself, Alderwoman Blakely, Alderwoman Lanier, and Dr. Shabazz. It's sad enough you silenced our voices, but you deny democracy to the very people. whose house that belongs to,
That's right.
that gold dome belongs to the people.
So, Julius,
Yes, ma'am.
I need to clarify and protect my baby. Ivory Bay is my baby because I am the founding director, and the baby now is springing up and pulling up and has grown strong enough legs and it's about to walk and run. And that happened because I had to when I'm able to step away from being chair and CEO and allow the organization to move forward up on the mission with the CEO and with the board of directors and independent of me. And at that round table of community stakeholders, I no longer have to sit in those seats and I can move to the seat of the alderperson who support all of the stakeholders in the community who are advocating for community, who are creating benefits for community. When I can take the seat of the alderperson and sit next to the Community Development Corporation, who is the coordinating partner of all of this business, coordinate to make sure all of the stakeholders' mission and goals and vision gets actualized. That's the role of Ivory Bay. But my role at today is as the alderperson, because we had been trying since 2005 to get the alderman to sit in the seat at the round table with the people of the community and all of the stakeholders, and we couldn't manage that. So we had to send one of our own, who happened to be me, a neighborhood president, advocate turned alderperson, the first person from the west side of Savannah to ever serve as alderman, who understand and is a generational product of this area, is sitting in that seat. So the conversations look different. I'm the leader who's saying, let's reimagine West Savannah. Imagine if our housing stock was in better condition. Imagine if our houses were affordable or income-based. Imagine if we had some jobs here that we could generate to turn dollars over in our community. Imagine if we could purchase the block. Imagine if we could build up. Imagine if we could have healthy food alternatives and community gardens. And this is the leader I am. I'm not the leader who can say, well, let's build a homeless shelter. I think that's the best and the highest use and all y'all deserve. Y'all now, those people don't want anything. And so I want to change the trajectory, move the needle by changing the mindset. I attract wealth, and I attract people who attract wealth. And I have a new grandson. He's 12 weeks old, Muhammad Nazir Senyate. He's in Senegal right now. He's 12 weeks old. He's been to New York. He's been to Atlanta. He's been to Puerto Rico. And now he's in Senegal. And that's going to be his lifestyle. And I want to have this conversation with my next door neighbor who is sharing similar stories of what the children and the grandchildren are doing. And so we could discuss creating wills and creating trust and what kind of deal you're doing and who's purchasing trucks and who's. So this needs to be our conversation, and we need to train and change the messaging and utilize conduits like ATR that allow us to change the message, to change the trajectory, to move the needle. And Ivory Bay is a coordinating partner. Now, did Ivory Bay petition for the Bartow property? Not at all. In the early part of me telling everyone that the community is against this and this is not a good initiative for the community, this is not good community building, this is not good community location building and placement making, this is bad, this is all contrary and negative to smart community building discipline. We're doing the things that build and contribute and the conditions that breed poverty. So we got to change this. And so I'm saying we don't need to have this on this property. And they said, you all don't know what you want. You push back against the Hudson Hill Graham Street property being changed for J.C. Lewis Clinic. You push back against businesses and warehouses coming to Clearview. You all don't know what you want. I said, well, the people know what they want, but we had never written anything down. We just have had meetings and talk. So a gentleman, Mr. Rich Ferguson of Eco Developers, came along and said, look, I understand that I could help you all create a concept plan to share, and so you could have something documented as to what the community want. I said, well, okay, he presented a concept plan and I shared it with council. He later presented that same plan to the MPC and he named it the Weeping Time Village, and he added in Ivory Bay as a potential partner because in his travels and in his discipline, he knew that's the way a CDC should have been in as a community developer, as a partner. But Ivory Bay never went to the MPC. Ivory Bay never filled out anything to be a petitioner in any type of development. Ivory Bay never presented anything to the Housing Authority. Dr. Grimm never met Mr. Ferguson, and they never talked to anyone on the board. But now they're saying that Ivory Bay is trying to be the developer. And it's wrong. It's a lie. It's a good idea. It's an excellent idea. But right now, I know they're trying to tie our hands so we can't be successful that manner. And that's okay, because Ivory Bay is going to get those legs and run and walk. But it can be a thorn in the side of a development-centric community like Savannah. But Ivory Bay was not the petitioner. Ivory Bay attorneys asked the city manager to cease and desist of saying and declaring and printing that Ivory Bay was a developer or presented any type of interest in the property. And he continued last night to say Ivory Bay was the developer. They have done such a good job in the media of saying that you guys are saying that, and it's not true. So Ivory Bay has never applied a petition to be the developer. Is it a good idea? A really good idea, but we did not. So they're going to have to get me, but they won't get me on this because they didn't do well enough to try. They're guilty of everything that they are accusing me of. They're guilty of it, and we're not. So they're going to utilize that until they could kill Ivory Bay and silence me. But that's just not going to happen. So I needed to clear Ivory Bay, and Ivory Bay will continue to be that community developer working in a corporate manner to build wealth in low wealth communities by using asset-based economic development. So thank you. But reimagine West Savannah.
Let me say this right here. The beautiful thing is that Alderwoman Lanier is from West Savannah. Mm-hmm. So she has a love for West Savannah.
And still lives there.
The Van Johnson is not from Savannah. He's from New York. So the love that she has, he will never have.
That's right.
Now, I have to say this as well. Savannah is a tourist town, hospitality industry. Mm-hmm. So with all these hotels that's being built, who is going to clean toilets, make up beds, cut grass?
For minimum wage.
For minimal money. They're looking, it's like, who better to enslave than a race of people that have already been enslaved?
We're already used to it.
That's why they're not looking to develop West Savannah.
Or build wealth.
There is a plan. I'm telling you, there is a plan that does not include West Savannah. Thank you.
I want to say to
wait a minute, let me say it includes West Savannah, but it does not include wealth building in West Savannah.
I lose my points really fast. I want to say this really quick too, but y'all have younger brains than me. Alderwoman Lanier and Dr. Grimm, it's shameful that you have to defend your name and defend the work that you've done for the community unselfishly. And not only was it unselfish on Alderwoman Lanier's part, it was a financial sacrifice. They have thousands of dollars tied into that CDC in terms of keeping it alive. What I want you all who are listening to us to understand, this was just how this poverty and this power grab for this property is by design. The hit job that they did on Alderwoman Lanier and are attempting to do on Ivory Bay is by design. These individuals are not even bright. It's the same play from the playbook that they pulled on me. Distraction and deflection. My pastor often says that distraction is the greatest enemy of direction. And here you have a situation that is much like when they filed the ethics complaint on me. They filed the ethics complaint, and here's some breaking news. Not for me cursing them, but for me offering expletives to a situation where Van Johnson was cheating the city manager search process.
That's right.
Attempting to get another candidate in who had been voted out. Attempting to get that individual back into the rotation.
Back in.
And I simply said to his maneuvering, his manipulative maneuvering, that what you are doing was effed up and that it was a bunch of BS and I was not going to participate.
Exactly.
I said it as simple as that. But the media went on this blitz. The media went on this 7-day news cycle that turned into a whole 30-day spread. Every single media outlet, WTLC, JCL.
That they use, Kesha.
What was that?
Don't forget about the algorithms that they use every time they want to
clickbait.
Yes,
She became clickbait.
them on the news. And so that's essentially what they wanted to highlight this issue with you and accuse Alderwoman Lanier of something that happens in local government every single day under that gold dome. These people are stealing hand over fist.
Yes.
And they accuse her of doing the very same thing that they do.
I'm guilty.
But they did not want to report on the most salacious. And we want to acknowledge that there's going to be a press conference in front of the police barracks on Habersham Street about the citizen of Savannah, the young man who lost his life in police custody at the Habersham Street barracks at 1:00. And so
today, what day?
Today.
Today.
So, they don't report on the fact that a police officer attempted to run me over with her car. They did no report on that, but they report this cycle of me offering expletives to a process that I was trying to fight for transparency for the city. So this goes back to why we're here. This is the same media that attacked Van Johnson for going to the Black media only media meeting.
That's right.
No black media. No white media.
No
white media. I'm sorry. You know what? You know why I'm confused? Because that's an oxymoron. We don't own no damn media. Black people don't own no media
until now.
Right. And so now he's flipped the tables and he's using the very people. I mean, we got $5,000 right now in our mayor and alderman budget, $5,000 to feed the media breakfast. Y'all, this is by design, and the media has the power. The media has the power to unite this community or divide this community.
Right.
The media has a responsibility to report transparently, accurately, and responsibly. And they have not done the Weekend Time story any justice.
We don't have that. So we need a new media. Replace the media.
And we need to kill that $5,000. That's what we need to do. They don't need to be paying. The media should bring their own damn food. What the hell you feeding them for? Why are y'all taking taxpayers' money to feed the media, and the media does not report accurately or fairly for the whole community?
So they can carry the water for the establishment.
Throw the bums out.
So, I'm listening to everything that you guys saying. There was so many points that was made. And I just have to say this, first of all, I have to commend the 4 ladies that serve on the Savannah City Council, because you guys are taking a lot. You are taking on a lot. But the reason that you're taking on a lot is because there is a movement that's taking place. And that is a movement to put leading ladies, leading women out front and in politics. You happen to be those 4 in Savannah. So with that comes this whole air of misogyny. I've been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this. And basically, people have their own idea that men hate women in power, and that's a part of misogyny. No, it's not. It's not that they necessarily hate you. They want to control you. You have to be either puppeted or pimped, as I like to say. And if they can't do that, then you become the target. You become the target. So with that being said, I'm looking at how you all are being handled. And I know other women who are also elected within the coastal Georgia area that this is happening to as well. Now, can women be, perpetrators of a misogyny? Yes, they certainly can. Because it's, I once asked someone, why is it that women come against other women because there's a male involved? And he said something to me like, well, it's the divine order of things. It's the divine masculine and the divine feminine has to bow to that. And I'm like, what? That makes absolutely no sense. We engage because we typically like to engage in drama when it comes down to other women. Not everybody, but a lot of women do. We have to do better. How do we do better? First of all, we need to have more men that support us. I see 4 men on this panel. There should be so many more. So many more. I also see and understand that some of those people may be afraid to speak out because they may feel compromised. It's good to be friends with the popular kids. It really is. But does that get you where you want to go economically? Does that create generational wealth? No, it does not. Because sometimes you have to break code or break that relationship in order to stand up and speak out for what is right. And then to talk about generational wealth, I have to tie this all into what you ladies are doing. The greatest aspect, the builder and the person that can conquer it of generational wealth is politics. It is politics. And people don't want to, generational wealth is more so on social media. It's become a social media hashtag. It's more of a social media movement than it is an actual movement within our communities. And I think it's because most people don't understand what generational wealth actually is. So we have to start to actually speak about what these things is and what these things are and what is needed to actually make it happen within our communities. First of all, it's about re-strategizing. It is about re-strategizing. The Goliath that you face. You just kind of come up with a better weapon to defeat that Goliath. And when you lock arms with people who are actually fighting for you because they understand the passion, they understand your commitment, and they understand your love for the community, whether they're from from Savannah, from the coast, whether they were born here or whether they moved here. And I'm not from coastal Georgia, but I moved here and I love the people. I love the culture. I think you guys are so similar to my culture and my family. And it is rooted into the Gullah Geechee culture. So I'm a big advocate of what's taking place here in coastal Georgia, but we must re-strategize. I'm going to say this in closing, and I know it's hard, but Ms. Bernetta, you've done a wonderful job, but your job is not over. So don't feel like you have been beaten because you have not. You lost a battle. You have not lost the war. So this is what I would like for this topic to be changed into. Instead of a time to weep, this is a time to reorganize. This is a time to re-strategize, and it's a time for us to rebuild. And it's a time for us to rebuild with everyone of every color, of every shade. Push that history, push that culture, because we are all connected to it. And that though they may take away property, they may take away whatever, they may put you out there. Honey, at the end of the day, I can say this concretely because I have endured it for 8 years and I'm still standing stronger than I ever was. You can do this and you'll come out on top. But I implore you to please connect with people who will help you get your message out, because it can be gotten out throughout the public, throughout the state of Georgia, throughout the nation. It's just the connections. They have to be key. And that was my part in closing. I do have to go. I appreciate each and every one of you for allowing me that time. And I hope that you guys please just keep pushing, because you got this.
Okay, thank you, Sabrina, for showing up. I don't want all the Jenkins High School Warriors to get on me because they've started already on me. Jamal has had his hand up for 7 to 10 minutes, they told me. So
Yes,
please.
You know I'm an advocate for women, so Dr. Grimm is next then.
No,
I have to advocate for my women.
Well, I had my hand up before Dr. Grimm, and then Sabrina just jumped in because Sabrina wasn't paying no attention. She just jumped in. And something that y'all shared, the media is supposed to be called, it is called what is called the fourth estate, because you have various states. You have the government, you have the clergy, and you have the people. The fourth estate is supposed to be the entity that's supposed to keep everybody in check. It's the fourth estate is supposed to be the one. The media is supposed to be the one to make sure that society is being questioned with regards to what they're doing. And they're supposed to question the government, they're supposed to question the clergy, and even the people. That's what the media is supposed to do. But what has happened in Savannah, that the media here, as you all have discussed, has been complicit. And people don't talk about this and push it. That's why I'm trying to stress to people, you must put this out there, because we've said this over a decade that's been going on in Savannah. ATR finally comes along, but it's not just enough with regards to ATR doing it. We need people to be more vocal about this, that we know for a fact what you have been doing. The media here is no longer serving as the fourth estate. They are not the ones who sitting back and being objective. They are subjective, and they go after our people. And something that Alderwomen Miller Blakely said that I shared it on another platform, another show, that people are not understanding. But these hotels right here, this hospitality industry, the restaurants, and all of this, they feed off of impoverished people. That's what they do. And so that's what these tactics are, is to make sure that we are permanently oppressed economically. So that's why then we have leadership that not engaged in this. And so that's why I'll throw it out there again. A former mayor of Savannah that some people were not happy with, he told them at the Chamber of Commerce that there's a ring of poverty in Savannah. That was Eddie DeLoach. He went and addressed them and told them and said that to the hoteliers coming in here, what you need to do, you need to create affordable housing for your workers. See, now, when he did that, people were stunned that he went and addressed them about it. And guess what? Even today, right now, we don't have our people who are now the supermajority even going forward with things like that. They instead still have this embedded poverty mentality on our people. And so if any of y'all ever going along MLK Jr. Boulevard at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 7:30 in the morning, look at the number of impoverished people who are walking from impoverished areas going to these hotels and to these restaurants. And someone has said to me, they said, Jamal, it is like the slaves are leaving out to go do their work in the fields. Mm-hmm. That's why I go and say to all the women who have been voicing their concerns, that I understand what they're doing, because if you are from here, you understand the pain and the anguish, and you want to resolve the pain and the anguish, because you see, that was it. Travel down MLK, and I dare say probably, I would have said at one time, come from off of East Broad and look at the people and look at those brown faces, those black faces, those blue black faces that are now going over there. And guess what? It should sadden anyone and understand why they need to rectify economics in this area.
Yes, that's right.
You've said it.
Okay, so we're going to get ready to play a video in a minute.
Dr. Grimm. Dr. Grimm.
Okay.
Before we do that.
What school she went to?
We have Dr. Grimm and then John.
John, let me just say this one thing before we leave.
We're not leaving.
Alderwoman Lanier said something that was so powerful on yesterday. She talked about the maps that showed what was happening on the racetrack, Tenbrook racetrack, during the reaping time process. And I want y'all to pay attention to the trickery. Okay, MPC, I asked Marcus Lotson, I said, what maps did you use when you all decided that the weeping time was not at the racetrack? And he said they used the MPC map. Well, I want you all to realize the maps go back to the 1800s. Then she presented one that was from 1907. The map that Marcus Lotson, the MPC, had, that was a map that was generated by the MPC. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much. So we have to make sure that when they do this archaeological study, that they use the maps from the very beginning, from the 1800s, because the sale took place when? 1859. Okay? So we cannot let them play these games about, well, that's where we're going to dig because this is what the map shows. No, we got to make sure that they use that map from the 1800s. And I just wanted to put that out there so people will be aware. Thank you.
Okay, and that's what we got to do.
Be aggressive when you're dealing with the 18, Dr. Graham. Come on, jump in there.
Well, the thing is, we're gonna have to make sure that they put those maps that Lotson uses. Tell me, he'll want to see those maps because somebody altered those maps for a reason, and the only ones that the MPC has are those ones that they have now. So we got to make sure that they do that. They have to use those other maps. That'll prove it, because you see Vane, he trying to play after the vote, and he know it's already in. Then he went to trying to play middle of the road.
That's right.
I'm calling for that. Nobody's stupid.
He does.
You know,
that's why he told Captain Egan. Look here, that's why he told Captain Egan, no, be cool.
Be cool.
Yeah. The thing had already been rooted and planted. That's why I brought it up and said, why? Mayor Johnson, why did you say no? Be cool to Captain Egan. I was just saying no, because they had already planned that. They already had their five. They knew what they were going to do.
That's right. New media, new prophets. We speak for we.
Well, all I really wanted to say was to acknowledge Sabrina, but I do want to piggyback on what Alderwoman Lanier, stated about how there was this impropriety or nefarious claims, or we were doing something immoral, unethical as an organization. But I like to, tell everyone, we have these issues with, not issues, but a lot of things have been said about people that are not from Savannah, right? So just to clarify, my roots stem from Walmala Island to Johns Island by way of Orangeburg, South Carolina. So I am a Geechee Gullah person. And so my roots are deeply embedded here. I am a descendant of Sergeant John White, who was the first African American police officer here in Savannah. So my roots are here. So my people are here. So I'm quite sure those were my ancestors on the Weepingtown property as well. So we're going to fight for our history. As someone who I'm not as a great a historian as Dr. Toure is, but as someone who has studied historical preservation, I am all about preserving our culture's history so that our next generation knows who they are. And as you can hear this person in the background, I'll be quiet because I want her to know who she is. I want every Black and brown child in this community to know who they are. I want every Black and brown child nationwide to know where they extend from. So when we talk about creating this concept of education, I think it was Representative Mallow introduced the bill for African-American curriculum in the schools. We need to continue to push that as well. And the Weeping Time should be at the center point in that curriculum. Sorry.
Deidre, let me throw in there. This is just an announcement. One of the Ivory Bay goals in the program. And if you're in education and if you want to work on this project, reach out to Dr. Grimm. Is for Afrocentric preschool and daycare. It's been on the agenda, the planning board for 15 years. So contact Dr. Grimm if you want to contribute to that. We have some experts that have written some Afrocentric curriculums. And so we're going to work to looking at a charter school for Afrocentric preschool and daycare and allow that to grow into elementary all the way through. So that's the vision and the goal. And I know we have some people out there who are experts in that area. So contact Dr. Grimm. Thank you.
All right, Pat. What's up, Pat?
Hey, regarding the maps and the archaeological investigation, I wanted to say that I think this deserves national attention. I think we should be paying the attention of national news outlets, national historians, or historians on a national level. I think it's certainly interesting enough that, professional historians and archaeologists should be taking an interest. And I had a question for the Alderwomen. what is the next step, you think, for this investigation? How do we find someone who's independent and we can trust?
Okay, all the women, whichever one y'all want to tackle that question, and then we'll show the video, and then we'll have discussion after the video.
So since last night, Pat, some research is being done, and through our network, we are reaching out to one of the most renowned archaeologists in the United States, who's from Charleston, South Carolina, have done work on Butler Island, and she works out of DC, and she has a long resumes, and so we're going to reach out, and there's some others that were recommended, but we want the best. So we're going to bring in the best, and if we have to put together the funding community, let's do that to pay for the best. Let's get this thing done that we will have confidence, so we can have confidence in the findings.
Well, somebody just said to reach out to Henry Louis Gates, so that might be a great idea.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? I want to say this right here. Someone just made a comment. Natalie just made a comment that she felt a little salty because I said Van Johnson was not from that area, that he was from New York and she's from New York. And no disrespect to anybody that's not from here, but my point was that Alderwoman Lanier is born, bred, and raised in West Savannah. The blood, sweat, and tears of her family is in the dirt of West Savannah. And she's the very first person from West Savannah to represent West Savannah. So who better than her to be here sitting at this time talking about our ancestors' plight that they went through back in 1859? Nobody but her. So no disrespect, she still lives there else, but she is the right one for a time such as this. We all are chosen for a time such as this.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I want to tell everybody who's commenting out there, if you can't write those big old long columns, save it to 2 or 3 sentences. You cannot write. See what happens. It covers her face. You cannot write those columns. We cannot do a dissertation here on the show, okay? But we welcome your columns. I mean your comments. We welcome your comments.
It's okay. Let's get to the video. I'm so anxious to see the video.
Okay, so we're gonna get to the video. And
let me say,
I hope you captured all my good words, my $25 words.
Actually, I have to apologize, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter. I did not include you in this particular video, but you will be featured in several videos to come. So.
Thank you, Jesus. We didn't need that capture, so thank you.
Yeah. I do want to say I'm going to release this on Facebook in a couple hours here, so you guys can share it. This is like the premiere of it right now. So
breaking here first on ATR.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I believe this is it.
John, you have anything to say while he's bringing that up?
No, thanks for having me.
I am a lifelong citizen of the city of Savannah. We are here arguing a point, considering whether we will have the Salvation Army place a structure on land that should be set aside because of what happened there. It should be as important for us to set aside this land as any land that's been set aside on earth as a result of human suffering and man's inhumanity to man. No one would consider building anything on Auschwitz or Dachau. No one would consider building anything at Gettysburg. No one. And now we, the citizens of the city of Savannah, having a place in our community which had the largest sale of human beings in the history of these United States. And someone would say, well, that was a long time ago. But my grandfather was born this same year, 1859. The Salvation Army is a great work. I have worked with them with my drug intervention program for more than 20 years. We support this effort. We care about human beings. I personally am responsible for care through my stewards of over 100 orphans in Liberia, even as we speak, orphans from Ebola. So we are a caring people. But you cannot tell me that there's nowhere else in the entire city of Savannah that you can put this except this particular spot. We have people who are unlikely the offspring of those very people who got sold, who are willing to tread upon the memory of their ancestors. This ground is sacred. This ground is holy. They said it rained so hard. It started raining as they started selling souls. It started raining. And somebody said it was as if God was crying. And that's why they called it the weeping time. Now we've got squares dedicated downtown in Savannah. They're dedicated to Confederate soldiers who would have kept me in mind a slave. They would be selling my grandchild. They'd be selling my wife. They would be doing what they did to them in the weeping time. They were tailgating while they were selling us. It was a party. It was a festival. And some brothers looked over and saw their brother's family and realized that one would be sold and go to Louisiana, and another brother would be sold and go to North Carolina, and they would never see each other again as long as they live. And you're going to have to build something on this spot. You're going to have to allow it. What's history going to say about you? What's history going to say about Savannah? How are we going to live with ourselves if we will not protect our heritage? Who will? Who will? Said by a Caucasian brother. What are we going to do this day? My cousin, Sister Lassie, was the first black woman to work in this city hall that wasn't mopping or cleaning. I've got sweat and blood here. My friend Bobby Robinson was blown up by a bomb. I've got blood here. I'm appealing not only to city council, but to the Salvation Army. You're supposed to be a Christian organization. How can you do that? You're supposed to be trying to build America, not tear it down. People are arguing about removing Confederate memorials. And you're going to build over a memorial to the degradation of humankind. With all due respect, Mr. Mayor, on yesterday when you said the Salvation Army would be willing to make a space behind, wait a minute, are we still back at the buses? What? Are we still got to go around to the back door to get our food while everybody else goes in the front door and sit in comfort? There are people on council. The preachers say black, but everybody our color ain't our kind. And I want you to add this because I want to set the record straight at council. Somebody said I called someone names. I didn't. I said they were functioning as if they were Uncle Thomas. Now you read the record. The historian says that this very spot is a part of the Weeping Time property. Now, you quoting the historian, but you're not going by what he said. And if there is a question, then you don't do it.
1 minute.
Thank you. Lastly, they said we hold these truths to be self-evident, and they were lying. They said we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, they didn't mean it. And a little over a year or so ago, some of the people on the council said, we're going to do more. Amen. And we're going to be fair. We're going to look out for everybody with equity. And for 15 months, the African American community don't have anything to show for the fact that we are city council at this stage. We've got 4 people on council who's never been able to put one item on the agenda. Those are facts. That's the record. So don't add this to that shame, because you came to the community, the Black community in particular.
Time is up. Thank you very much.
And you said it'd be fair.
Thank you very much.
Fair. I'm out of here.
Major Egan, you're speaking for Salvation Army.
They just let me back in like 2 minutes ago.
Okay.
I thought it was a 10-minute break.
Reverend Small spoke on behalf of the opposition. You have up to 10 minutes to speak in support of the proposal.
What did he say? I just got in.
He didn't want to say what he said.
He lied. He lied because he was sitting there the whole time. He was sitting there watching his face was on the screen when Pastor was speaking.
Yeah,
that was powerful.
Well, actually, can I just correct or set the record straight? He did leave and come back, and then he chimed in. You can see he left a little chat message where he said, "What's going on?" Right in the middle of Pastor Small's speech, he was interrupting the speech with a chat bubble.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was pretty rude. And then you could also see the different alder people who weren't even in their screen while Pastor Small was
Deidre Leggett just left. He left.
He couldn't take the pressure.
That was disrespectful. Dietrich Leggett left. I'm watching him. Michael Brown looked like he wanted to go take a dump, and Dietrich Leggett jumped up and he never would look when he was there for the first 3 or 4 minutes. He wouldn't even look. He turned away. Then he got up the last 5 or 6 minutes of Pastor Small's speech, and he came back after it was over.
Huh? I want to say
he was watching another screen. He was just so disinterested, disrespectful.
Yeah. Thank you, Pat. That was very powerful. It was really hard to. I think I was kind of traumatized because it's hard to believe that I actually lived through that last night, and to hear it replayed today, my emotions are right now all over the place. I think I was so much in the moment of trying to make sure I was paying attention. The people in the chambers were okay. Trying to keep up with the trickery that we often have to tap dance through. But you have captured a moment in history that will live on forever. And from my whole heart, I just want to say thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, thank you. That's really nice.
Thank you. I mean, this Pastor Reverend Small was excellent, and it came from the heart, and you could feel that.
Yes.
And in last night's proceedings, the mayor accused me of working against a grocery store coming to West Savannah. Well, I did. It was Save-A-Lot. And I had to do the due diligence and the research myself. So there was a Save-A-Lot on Bull Street, a relatively, kind of mixed area, but with some low wealth in there. And I went there to examine the store to see if this was something we need to work hard to make sure it comes. And when I went in there, I did a video because no one would believe me if I just described how filthy the store was and how it was bug infested. So I did a video, and I'm going to post that video today on my Facebook page. But those are the tactics that this guy's trying to use to belittle someone while he is not serving people. You know, he's around here trying to be the king, and he's not serving people. And if you look behind any breakup or any dissension or any people who are fighting in the neighborhood, you will find Van Johnson behind all of that division. The West Savannah communities, sister communities, never had any kind of division until Van Johnson got with Marsha Buford and Sylvester Formey, and they went down to MPC to rezone some property on Hudson Hill when the whole community, a church full of people, Friendship Church, said we did not want it. And they went downtown, and it was Marsha Buford and Sylvester Formey on one side of the dais, and it was myself and Ms. Jackson, the vice president of Hudson Hill, on the other side, speaking for the community. And we said that the people adamantly did not want to change this residential district zone to institutional zone to put a J.C. Lewis clinic in a high rise in front of our neighborhood right off of Bay Street. And the council voted unanimously. The last council voted unanimously against the people of Hudson Hill and allowed Sylvester Formey and his Capital Cardinal management investors out of Canada to change the zoning in a Savannah, Gullah Geechee, Hudson Hill historic community. They did that. And Van Johnson and that whole council, they looked me in my face and said, I'm going to go with the alderman because he knows his area. And they voted unanimously against community. And that's another reason they accuse. We don't know, but we do know. But Van Johnson is behind. So the neighborhoods cease having their unity Christmas event after that happened. So Van is behind the neighborhoods having a division. Van is the one who put a West Savannah president in place that the community did not vote for and won't allow the people to vote or even get a copy of the bylaws. He's behind all of that. He was behind the reason Hudson Hill didn't have an election in 9 years. He is behind this stuff. He's the culprit. Okay.
And you know, to that point, I want to say this is important. Alicia, let me say this. This is important for everybody to know. It's very consistent with what Alderwoman Lanier is saying. Her words were, Van is behind the division. He is behind the divide. He caused the dissension in the West Side. Y'all, listen to this. This council post November 3rd, was that when we were elected? Post November 3rd, 2019, 5 of us were winners. Alicia Miller Blakely, who garnered the most votes in the election, more than the mayor. Bernetta Lanier, myself, Linda Waller Bryan, Dietrich Leggett, Nick Palumbo, who did not have any opposition. He just walked into office.
That's right.
It was 6 of us, actually, 6 of us. Listen to this. This is key, guys. This is going to answer everybody's question. There were 6 of us. We all were united. If you go back to November 2019, you look at any of our Facebook pages, any of our posts from November up to the inaugural, even I would go so far as to say February. We were posting together, we were meeting together, lunching together, traveling together, joking together. We were all unified. Van Johnson was still running against Eddie DeLoach. Curtis Purdy was running against
Tony Thomas.
Tony Thomas. Van Johnson sat back. He watched our post. He watched our connections. And he saw that we were unified. And he was threatened by that. As opposed to coming in and embracing and cultivating all of that, in true fashion, it started during our inaugural, because he came in and acted like a tyrant and just undid all the plans that we had made for the inaugural. He saw the unity. Now, he's not alone in the responsibility because those individuals had choices. I don't know how he did it. Bernetta, but he did it. One by one, he picked them off. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, we're sitting wondering what happened. But post December 3rd, before he came into office, pre-December 3rd, we all got along. After he was elected, he came in and did exactly what Alderwoman Lanier said. He divided us.
Yes.
You are not going to hold me responsible for unifying this council. I am not the leader. And here again is that same misogyny.
There you go.
Hold a woman responsible for what this man has the position to do. He has the power. And so, Savannah, you now have a choice. Now, they drew a line in the dirt. They drew a line in the dirt with this decision on the weeping time. And so at this juncture, all along I've been saying, I don't want to wait to get anybody voted out. I don't want the people to suffer to another election to get something. It's not enough for me to fight for transparency and to uncover behaviors that's not ethical. That's not what I want to do. I want to propose policies that's going to move the needle and change the direction of people's lives. I don't want to keep fighting these folks. If I have to, I will. But they drew a line in the dirt last night. They drew a line in the dirt and they let us know where they stand. And despite the fact that these folks have attempted to assassinate my character with an ethics complaint and drag me through the mud, I am still willing to work with the 3rd district representative, the 2nd district representative, the 4th district representative, and the 6th district representative for the people, not for them. It's not about them. It's for the people. But they told us last night that it doesn't matter what happens, whoever they are connected to, and whatever they have been bought by, they're not going to let us prosper.
Yes.
Now,
go ahead, Alicia.
Let me just say this. I want Savannah to know, I want the constituents to know, what you all witnessed last night was your alderwomen fighting for you. You all sent us to City Hall to do a job. And last night, you witnessed us doing our job. You also witnessed what those other individuals that you voted for, who they were working for as well. So I'm saying to you this, please, please stop saying to me when you see me in the grocery stores, when you see me on the street, what have you, stop asking me, why can't y'all just get along? Why y'all got to do that? You all sent us to City Hall to do a job, and by God, we're going to do it. I want you to ask those other individuals why they're doing what they're doing, why they're voting the way that they're voting. Stop asking me to not do what you sent me to City Hall to do. Okay? And I told somebody this morning, I was doing this before the young man said, well, you don't want to get elected again. I was doing this before I got elected.
That's right.
And when I'm no longer there, I'm still going to be doing this.
That's right.
Okay?
That's correct. That's
Thank
correct.
you.
Dr. Toure is back with us. He was on there blessing somebody out, looked like, because he kept doing his hand like this in whoever he was talking to. I hope it was Van.
Dr. Toure, let me see. Can we see your whole shirt, Dr. Toure?
Just stand up a little. Men can stop rape. Oh, I got one of them.
That's Alpha Phi Alpha Men Can Stop Rape.
All
yes,
right.
yes. Get
Okay.
yours today. Contact me, inbox me. This is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and we want all the men to know that all men are not rapists. There's just a small percentage of the male demographic that commit rape, and so we want to be ambassadors for this work, and we want to champion it. So inbox me for a shirt, and it could be personalized with your logo, your business logo, or your fraternity logo.
And I'm going to be wearing this to the press conference. I need to get to the press conference.
Yes. Julius, this was great. Thank you so much, buddy. And you know what? They said that social media was not the news, and they were correct. Social media is not the news. ATR is the real news. Thank you so much.
Right.
And I want to thank y'all for coming on. I want to thank John McMasters and Better Savannah for always representing. You know, they are our brothers in this fight. We all are trying to get the city to do what's right for the people, not right for themselves. You know, y'all are public servants. Public servants serve the people. Politicians serve themselves. And you know, and I'm it's just that people need to just understand that this fight is yours. Stop being scared. Come help these people. They need all of our help. If you own a business, if you own a business, if you own property, if you have a home, or if you live in Savannah, this is your concern. So I just wanted to say that. And, you know, we'll be getting together to talk about this media. Brother Toure, before we go ahead.
I was going to say this. Is Anthony Martrell your cousin?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. He's just like you. He is just like you. I just had to what school did he attend? What school did he attend?
He went to Johnson C. Smith. He went to college at Johnson C. Smith.
I'm talking about what high school, but again, he's just like you. Anthony Martrell, you just like your cousin Julius. I'm like, oh my God. I just
listen, Julius. We want to let people know to pay attention to their property, to make sure that they have the exemptions that they need, the Stevens Day bill, homestead exemption. They really need to look into that. 65 years and older that should not be paying property taxes. We found out there's a lady 84 years old paying taxes, a man that's 90 years old paying taxes. Y'all listen, pay attention. For you younger people that have elderly family members, look over their paperwork. Make sure that they're not being charged. They have to fill out paperwork in order to get the exemptions, but make sure that they do that.
That's
also,
correct.
On By Us, For Us, we're going to have Terry Talbert on there on Tuesday, and he's going to be talking about all of the good things that EOA is going to be offering to the people from this CARES Act money. Okay? So make sure y'all tune in, get the information, but check on your family members and your property.
Okay. Okay.
All right,
Anybody else got anything?
Press conference time.
Press conference at 1 o'clock.
No, we got to go to the press conference.
Oh, press conference at 1. Y'all go ahead. I got a show starting at 1. Y'all tune in at 1 o'clock for financial sins, but y'all also get the press conference down there in front of the Savannah Police Department.
Yeah,
thank y'all.
Thanks, Pat.
See y'all later. All
Leonard
right.
Small for president of Savannah.
Good night. Good evening, y'all.